Hi clarinets, we're gonna go through how to put your clarinet together. So the first thing that you wanna do is make sure that your case is right side up. So you have to find a clue on your case. It could be that the word Yamaha is written and it should be written right side up and not upside down, or you might have a sticker or some kind of an emblem on one side of the case. So you wanna make sure that before you open it up that it is right side up, because if you open it upside down, everything's gonna dump out. So once you do that, go ahead and open your case, and then you're gonna find your reed. So you might come in a case like this, or it might come in a case like this. You're gonna take that out, and there's the thin side, and then there's the fat side here. And you'll notice there's a flat side that's like a table and a round side. You're gonna take that thin side. We only try to touch this fat side here, and you're gonna put it right on your tongue, like that. And make sure that the reed is getting wet. And you're gonna do that while we're putting the whole clarinet together. I'm gonna put a plastic reed on my clarinet in just a little bit. If you have a case that is like this, you're gonna pull this out. And again, here's the fat side, and you're holding that like this. When we put this away, it's a little bit trickier because you're gonna have to put that fat side in there and then kind of get that in here. Because remember, that skinny side is really very delicate. And while we're talking about putting reeds away, if you have a reed like this, you want to just push it in and barely push it in. If you push it all the way in here, you're going to get it stuck and it's going to be very difficult to get out. So you got to be really careful with that spot there because it is tough, or it is very delicate. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our mouthpiece, and that's the piece like this. You might not have one of these, or you might have something that looks like black instead. And we're gonna take all of the parts off because it's easier to put together when we don't have it all together. And then you're going to, if you need to grease your corks, you're gonna just take your cork grease and put it on all of the corks of your clarinet. And if you need to pause to go ahead and grease all your corks, you can do that right now. Then you're also going to take your barrel, and yours probably is gonna look more like this, and mine is just a little bit ridgy there. So when you do that, you put that together and then you twist it together. We try not to push straight in because you can ruin your cork over time. And then you're gonna find your ligature and you're gonna put that on. If it doesn't feel like it's going on right, it's just because it's upside down. And if you have one that's like a black plastic piece, then you have to be really careful about it, what you want. So your mouthpiece has a table side. If you have one of the black ones, you want the screws to be on the top side, not on the table side. And the screws are always on the right side. So you're always going to use your right hand to do the screws. So for the metal pieces, you need the table side to have the screws there. Then hopefully your reed is now wet. Remember, we have the table side of the reed and the table side of the mouthpiece, and we're going table to table like that. But we don't go like this and then put our ligature on because it's highly possible that we might break our reed. So we keep our ligature on, and I'm gonna, you have to make sure that you loosen it up enough. Otherwise there might not be enough room to get that reed in. You're going to push that up, and then I have my table side, and I'm gonna try not to touch the top part of my reed there. I'm gonna slide that down, and then I want to make sure that this is lined up exactly right here. And then I have to push my ligature down. So I'm gonna look, make sure I'm lined up and it's not crooked and it's not too high or too low. And then on your mouthpiece, you might have a small line here, and you want that ligature to line up. You don't want the ligature to be all the way up here. So there's also a spot on the front part of your mouthpiece where the ligature has to be lower then. So you want to make sure that that's all set. And you can see that my reed is exactly in line with that mouthpiece. It's not sticking up and it's not too low. So when we do that, that's how we do our mouthpiece. And we're gonna just do a quick exercise with just our mouthpiece. So first, the reed goes against your lip. It's not gonna be against your teeth. That's gonna make a real squeaky sound. So your lip is very thin there and just a tiny bit over. If you need to use your phone as a mirror or just a mirror, you don't wanna go all the way in. Just a tiny bit. You're gonna rest that down, and then you're going to rest your teeth on top. And we talked about how far you want to put that reed. Not sure if you can see it here. Not really well. But if you look, oh, you can see there's a spot where the wood does not touch the black rubber of the mouthpiece. And then there's a spot where it does finally touch, like right here. And that's where I'm going to put my teeth down approximately. So right about there. You don't want your teeth too far up or too far down, just kind of right there. So I'm going to put my finger right there. I make my lips thin. I'm going to put that down there, and I put my teeth down, and I have to hold it with my teeth. I'm going to say we to make this lip thin because we don't want to go forward here. We want this here, and then I'm going to use these muscles to grab the mouthpiece. And we're going to do that. We're going to make sure we're not flat out. It's kind of down a little bit, but not so far down that it's touching here. Okay, so like that, and we're going to go for 4 seconds. Ready, and rest. 2, 3, and breathe. Rest. 2, 3, and breathe. Rest. 2, 1 more, and go. And whenever you're playing, you want to make sure that you're sitting up very, very tall. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our mouthpiece down so that it can't fall. If you have a cap, I would suggest you put that cap on. If you don't, just make sure it's laying down in your case so that it's not going to fall. Before you take all the pieces out of your clarinet case, you might want to take a picture because sometimes it's just a little bit complicated to get it back into the case, and each case might be a little bit different. So the first thing you need to do is find the piece that looks like a bell, and you're going to hold that in your right hand, and then you're going to find the piece that has only 1 cork on it. So this one has 1 cork here, and then it has silver keys up here. The other piece has 2 corks on it, and we want to make sure we don't bend these keys. So you're going to go ahead and put this like this so that I'm not grabbing here and I'm not going to bend it. And then I've already greased mine, so I'm going to twist it together. And again, we don't want to just try to push it because we're going to ruin our cork that way if we do it all the time. So now you have this piece, and it gives you somewhere to hold here. I like to hold this piece in my right hand, and then I'm going to pick up the other piece that has 2 corks. And you can see there's all of these fancy keys here, and right under that, that's your bridge key. And if you press here, it puts the bridge up. So I'm going to, with my left hand, hold it right here, and I'm going to put my fingers on those holes because that gets me a spot where I'm not going to bend any of my long keys there. So my left hand is holding it, and my bridge is up. And then on this part, I need to find the bridge. So you have the bridge right here. We're going to line those up. On this side, we have all our fancy pinky keys. We don't want to crash these keys together. So I'm going to find the bridge, and I have that bridge up here. And then I'm going to hold this piece down here with my right hand. And then I'm going to twist together. And then I have to make sure that my bridge key right here is lined up. We don't want it to be this way. And you can't like twist it all the way around because then you're going to crash your keys like that, and we don't want to crash those. So once you get that in, you can let go of that bridge piece, and then you have this much of your clarinet together. So now you get to do the last part, which is where we put this all together here, and you're going to look for on the back of the clarinet, there's like a thumb rest here. This is where your thumb is going to go, and there's an arrow pointing up, and that should actually point at your reed. So I'm going to take this piece, and again, I'm holding down here because I'm not going to crush any of my keys, and then I'm just going to push down and twist it. And then I'm going to look and make sure it's lined up so I can see this thumb button with the arrow, and it's pointing at my reed. Again, if my ligature is a silver or gold ligature, the screws are gonna be on the same side as the reed. If you have a black ligature, your screws are gonna be on the top, but always you use your right hand with there, okay? So let's go through where to put our fingers just for funsies in case you're ready to do this. I'm gonna stand up here. Here on your clarinet on the back, there is a thumb rest, and that's gonna be your right hand. So you're gonna pretend like you're holding a can of pop or a bottle of water, and then your thumb is gonna go right under here. And that's gonna hold there, and these just stay right over these keys. We're not gonna push them or do anything with those keys yet. Then for the top hand, you have that hole on the bottom or on the back there, that's your thumb hole. And again, it's just like you're holding a bottle of water. Left thumb is gonna go up there, and then you have a hole with a silver hole and a silver hole, and then a hole that's just like on the wood or the plastic part there. And that's where our 3 fingers go, 1, 2, 3. So this one is your E note. It's the thumb plus first. This one is your D note, and this one is your C note. So we're gonna try our E note first. So always really important to get this face, just like what we talked about when we did our mouthpiece only. So you're gonna make that lip really thin, a tiny bit goes over, set the reed down there, make sure you're taking enough mouthpiece. And a lot of you, I marked where you need to put your teeth down, okay? Top teeth are down. I'm gonna squeeze because this is gonna be flat, and then I squeeze with my mouth here. So our E note, I put my fingers down, I breathe. Now we're gonna try our D note. We're gonna put one more finger down. And our C note is one more finger down. So those are your 3 notes that you need for hot cross buns. And the last thing that we talked about is how to use our tongue. So that's one thing you can do just with your mouthpiece, or you can do it with your whole clarinet. So let's try it with an E note, and we want to use our tongue to just tap the reed, just 2 taste buds. So I gotta get this set, put my reed down, put my top teeth down, keep this flat, squeeze. My fingers are set for an E, that's 1 and 2, or just the first finger. And we're gonna go 2, 2, 2, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you're sitting up tall, 2, and ready, go. And you'll notice that all my notes are connected because I'm saying 2, 2, 2, 2. I'm not going 2, 2, 2, 2. So try to connect them all if you can, and ask yourself, is my tongue actually touching the reed? Can I feel my tongue touching the reed there? So you can go do any part of this video. I will put some chapters in so you can skip ahead or go back. But every time you practice for this week, it would be great if you just use this video and do those things, and then you can try and go and see if you can figure out hot cross bun for yourself. We're gonna play hot cross buns. So remember, you're sitting up very tall so your lungs can get all the air. Your lip is very thin, not too much in, just a tiny bit over your bottom teeth. If you put your bottom teeth on the reed, it's gonna make a real squeaky sound that you're not gonna like. So just a little bit covering. Top teeth down, make sure it's far enough in, it's not too close off the reed or too far down. Your clarinet is down but not touching your body, and they're not out, okay? Sitting up tall, think teeth down. Here we go for hot cross buns, starting on E note. 2, ready, go. Happy practicing. The last thing that we need to do is how to clean out our clarinet. So remember, I told you we always protect our reed. So that's going to be the first thing that we take off. You're going to have to loosen the screws, and then we take the reed off and we try not to touch the top of it again. We only touch that fat part, okay? We take the reed off and we're going to put it back into our case. So you have to be really careful not to split that delicate part of the reed, and it's going to go in there, but we don't push it too far in, and then you can put that into your case. Then you have your mouthpiece. You're going to take off that mouthpiece part, and you probably have a swab. It's a little cloth with a weight and a string attached to it. We don't send the swab through the mouthpiece. We can just wipe it off just like that a little bit. And then if you have a cap, you're gonna put your cap back on, put that back in your case in the right spot. Then what you have left is this part of the clarinet. You're going to take the weight part of your swab and put it into the bell. And you're gonna see that it comes out the other side, maybe there, okay? We wanna make sure that this is out and fluffed up. It's not scrunched up like this because it can get stuck in the clarinet if it's not fluffy out. Okay, so I've got that, and then I'm just gonna pull that through, and it comes all the way through. And then there you go. Then you're gonna take apart your clarinet. So again, you wanna make sure that you're not putting any strain on these long keys because they can easily bend. And if they bend, then sometimes the buttons don't close right. So we wanna be really careful about that. So I'm gonna take my barrel off first. I'm being really careful not to grab where there's long buttons here. So I'm gonna twist that off, and there's my barrel. Then I'm gonna take this part. You do not need to have the bridge up for when you're taking it apart, but if that's easier for you to press down on those buttons and lift the bridge up, that's an okay way to do it. And then you're just gonna gently twist. You don't wanna scroll all the way around because you're gonna crash those keys there, okay? Gently twist and pull apart. And then you gotta find the right spot in your case for that. And then you just have your bell here. So I'm gonna grab here because there's no big rods there that I'm gonna bend, and then I just twist apart. So for the first week that you have your instrument, you're probably going to need to grease it before you put it together because your corks are new and they're just, it's just difficult to put together. It gets easier and easier the more you put it together, take it apart, put it together, take it apart. So just keep at that grease for the first week especially. And then after that, you don't need to grease it as often, maybe once a month, or if it feels like it's just hard to put together. So I hope that this video helps you to practice and that you're having a great week, and I will see you at your lesson pretty soon. Bye-bye.